sees my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for reasons. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Feel like a dynamite, ready to explode right up in the sky. I'm walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Football Chatbox. My name is Ryan, and welcome to some wildcard discussion, wildcard tinkering for Game Week 26, FPL Game Week 26. Now, I am currently in the process of also probably playing my wildcard. I haven't fully I haven't really pressed the button yet, but I am very close to doing that. In this video, we're going to talk about various wildcard drafts, why, in what specific situation should you play the wildcard as well, and then maybe some weeks as well when you can play the wildcard and when you probably don't really need to play the wildcard. And so yeah, we're gonna have it's an interactive discussion, so feel free to get involved in the chat. And having said that, Easy Shark, how are you doing? Welcome, hope you're having a great day. Now, we discussed it on the pod yesterday with Karan. Some wildcard, we did a wildcard draft there as well. We did a non-Kane wildcard draft, because at the moment we weren't thinking of Kane, and I watched a few videos, and also we'll probably include Kane in as part of one of these drafts. I've had a bad week, so as you can see, I'll tell you why. Okay, here's the reason for why to wildcard, right? And this might not apply to everyone. This might apply to a few people. And maybe it applies to you, maybe it doesn't apply to you. But my reason for particularly wildcarding, this is my current squad. Let's actually show you my no, let's go back to the points because it'll help you. I've got Tarkowski, Aurier, Robertson, Bueno. That entire backline I want gone. I've also got no Arsenal defender. I've got Nketiah. I have no Brighton. I mean, I have Sanchez, but not the best Brighton. I have no other Brighton player. I have no Brentford player. I've got Darwin. I don't really have Kane. If I wanted Kane, maybe I could. I still have Almiron. So if you're in a situation like I am right now, maybe you think about wildcarding. And Easy Shark has asked about captaincy. We'll talk about that as well. But if you're in a situation like this, you probably think about wildcarding. If you have a couple Brighton players, maybe a Brentford player, you've held Tony until now, you don't really have triple Liverpool, or don't even have the likes of Aurier, Bueno problems, or Tarkowski, then you probably don't need to wildcard, to be honest. So it depends completely on your squad. Now, currently, this is one of the drafts I did. This is I basically called it, as you can see, a Martinelli instead of a Madison instead of Martinelli draft. Now, it doesn't have to be Martinelli. It can be Odegaard as well if you wanted to. I've just called it. It's basically that fifth midfield spot. There are a few things that can change in a wildcard, Game Week 26 wildcard. it's not most of the wildcard you would say picks itself, but like personal can change slightly. The fifth midfield spot is where one of the spots that can change, and that is in this specific case I've got Maddison instead of Martinelli, since Brendan Rodgers has said Maddison should be fine. And now captaincy, particularly for this week as well, I think there are a couple options. Captaincy, Haaland, Saka, even Rashford, to be honest, could be an option. For the moment, maybe Saka seems the best option, but we'll actually discuss about it. I wanted to actually bring out, let me, fantasy, I wanted to bring this as well for you guys to kind of like help you all in the discussions of captaincy and whatnot, and also picking a wild card. We'll go through all of this in terms of chances considered when making our team. Ruhil, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome. How many points did you get? It was a disaster of 74 minus 8. The less said about it, the better. I felt like the captaincy, I didn't get too wrong. Like we missed. Okay, I got it wrong in terms of the player, but we missed out only on 4 points. Everywhere else that I got it wrong. So, this is the first draft. Basically, this is a Maddison. Oh, this is basically that fifth midfield spot. The fifth midfield spot can be anyone you want. Can be an Arsenal player. Can be a Maddison. Who else can we add there? You could potentially go. I don't know who else you would probably think about going for. Maybe a Bruno Fernandes. I don't think that's wise, to be honest, though. But there are a couple options you wanted that could be there. Let me actually get Ben Krelin's spreadsheet as well up, because that's going to be very useful for us when it comes to planning. So let me bring that up for you guys. Wait, it's too big. So let me remove that. Let me print this up. This might help you. Is that too big? Not. Kinda is, isn't it? If I made it smaller. Oh, that doesn't help anyone. Actually open in a new tab. Okay, that kind of helps you guys. That might be useful. A bit blurry, but does the job, I guess. Maybe I'll just like keep it a bit more small. There we go. We'll probably do this. Anyways, Jason, how are you doing? Welcome. Got 92 points last week. What about you? I had 66. So, which is why I'm in this situation of wildcarding. And Amit, welcome as well. Hope you good. Nice to be on stream. Can have Barbies as fifth mid and Maddie to Fernandes in Gameweek 29. Can I have who? Who is that fifth mid spot? Well, okay, this fifth mid spot can be anyone. Okay, let's just assume. Okay, let's talk wildcard drafts. Now we're going to look into a fifth mid spot. We'll look into like it can be anyone. Let's for now let's go with the Maddison. We'll look at another draft where maybe you do a Martinelli. That we'll do that draft. We'll look at a no Kane draft, but we also did one on the podcast. We'll look at a no Haaland draft, although I wouldn't really advise that, to be honest. And then maybe if there are any other tiny moves to change, we'll have a look. But we'll start off with this one, which is a Maddison draft or Harvey Barnes. Oh yeah, you could do something like that, but I'll show you why I went with Maddison in this specific situation. Now you don't have to go with Maddison. This one I kind of got stuck while I was thinking about it, but I'll explain. So for me, the keepers at the moment kind of pick themselves. I think the only other difference, like we mentioned on the podcast yesterday, was you could go Rhea and Areola, but like the only issue with this is you could get to a point where Fabianski is back and you only have Rhea. So for the moment, I think Kepa and Rhea actually rotate well. To be honest, I'm actually thinking I might start Rhea this time ahead of Kepa. But I'm not really sure at the moment. The only reason I'm worried about Kepa is not because of Kepa, but because of the fact that Chelsea have a very important Champions League fixture this coming week. So I'm worried that Potter might rotate way too much, and that could lead to them conceding. Would you mind checking my team? 140 league. Should I wildcard this game week, or can I wait next week? Okay, we will have a look. Let me first explain this stuff, and then I'll go into your team and probably see whether you should wildcard or you shouldn't wildcard. But can you also let me know what chips you have left? And also, for those of you guys who want to maybe play around with a wildcard draft while we're doing this, right? You can have, if you're on your computer and you wanted to play around while this is going on, this is the site I'm using for anyone who wants. Obviously, stay on the video as well, but you can open it on another tab and play around. That's the one I'm using, fpl.team. And you can, what the good thing about this is it has the option of set projected fixtures from Planet FPL. So this is basically using James from Planet FPL, his predictions, which is very similar to like Ben Krelin's as well. So it kind of gives us like game weeks that are not yet confirmed. It also adds it here to kind of help us in terms of planning. Now, for me, I think Rhea, in terms of goalkeeper, Rhea and Kepa for me, like I said, Areola is an option. And you have all the chips as well. Okay, cool. So Areola is an option. The other one is Nick Pope, but I think is slightly too expensive. I feel like you could go with the double Newcastle defense, for me at least. I've seen few with triple Newcastle defense. I don't really like it too much. I do like the double Newcastle defense option. Apart from the double Newcastle defense, the other defenders for me, Ben Mee is one option. I'm going just because of the 27 double. I don't really like I'll put it out now. I don't like this 29 double, to be honest, of Brentford, where they play Brighton and United. I mean, I need to get you guys a better quality picture. But the problem is this is this thing. So it is what it is. We'll have to deal with this. The quality is a bit poor, but it's fine. Actually, we can just do it on this. So Brentford, you got Fulham, Everton, Southampton, Leicester, Brighton, United. I don't really like that double, to be honest. But it is what it is. The other defender I've gone is with Estupinan. Now, Estupinan is a very attacking. If you watch some of the Brighton highlights or if you watch their games, really good fullback, attacking, and I do like the look of him. He should be fine for starting this week, hopefully. And then the final one, I've gone for Gabriel. I want an Arsenal defender because Arsenal do have a good run of Bournemouth, Fulham, Crystal Palace, Leeds. So the first 4 game weeks are pretty good. Now game week 30 is slightly tough, 31 also slightly tough. But you'll see, like, in terms of how you juggle the team, it's actually manageable. So that's my defense. Now, what can change? I guess you can, if you're wildcarding, you could have Zinchenko as an option, but I feel like the reason I've gone Gabriel is because of the opponents he faces in the next 4 game weeks. They're actually pretty weak to set pieces. So because of that one reason, I've gone for Gabriel, because the opponents he's facing are weak to set pieces. Gabriel, pretty decent in terms of set pieces, scoring from set pieces or getting something from the end of set pieces. Zinchenko, however, has been doing well in recent times, so he's also another option if you wanted, but he's a bit more of a short-term punt. I feel like if you wanted a long-term punt, Gabriel is not too bad an option. In terms of midfield, I feel like Rashford and Saka kind of pick themselves. And then you go for at least 2 Brighton midfielders. Now, Brighton are very good in terms of attacking stats. If you were to look at their team attack, I'll bring this table up from Fantasy Football Scout members area. Brighton's attacking stats are good. Now, you have the likes of Solimarch, you have the likes of McAllister, and you also have Mitoma. Now, in terms of picking that, it depends. It's very hard to... I feel like all 3 of them are equally good. I like Solimarch and his data slightly better. McAllister obviously on pens, and if he plays in that number 10 position, he's a good asset. Mitoma is a bit of a tricky one to say. Mitoma is probably the most attacking out of the three in terms of threat. But he also plays a bit too wide at times, which is why Estupinian when he plays looks good, because Estupinian is the one who cuts inside while Mitoma holds the width. Now in the cup game that they played, the FA Cup game, Mitoma was the one playing that number 10 spot where McAllister usually plays, and McAllister was playing a bit more deeper. But if McAllister continues to play in the number 10, then McAllister is good. But because of that, then Mitoma was good when he was playing that number 10 spot. So I feel like you can go for any three. Pick your poison from there, basically. McAllister, March, or Mitoma, anyone is actually pretty good from that specific situation. And then obviously the fifth midfield spot, this is where it changes. You could go for a second Arsenal midfielder, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You could go for Maddison if you wanted to. As mentioned, you probably could go for Harvey Barnes. I think he's the third best Leicester option though. So I probably prefer Maddison at the moment. And then in strike, in the strike force. Now this can change depending on how you want to go and like how you want to approach. I think Tony is probably, if you're wildcarding now, get Tony in. Where his ban or his yellow card suspension, whichever comes first, it is what it is. You kind of take that slight risk and go for it, right? Because at the end of the day, he is their talisman. Now Kane has good fixtures. Spurs have really good fixtures in terms of Wolves, Forest, Southampton, Everton. Really good fixtures in the next 4. Now Everton, you might not actually even play him, and I'll show you why, because you might have transferred him out by then. But Wolves, Forest and Southampton, really good next 3. Now you can go without Kane as well if you wanted to, and we'll look at that in a separate draft. But for this one, I've gone with Kane, and then Haaland is my third pick. I think Haaland is still a pretty good option. There will be a point where you could remove Haaland, and we'll speak about it. But I don't think you can go super aggressive and remove him, and we'll look at that maybe in a no Haaland draft. But for now, I'm happy with this. So this is how we look in 26. You go to 27. What I've done is basically I put Gabriel on the bench, I put Maddison on the bench. The Brighton players start. Botman is still on the bench, and Rhea also starts. So you have your triple Brighton, triple Brentford. Now, who do I captain from here? This is a very tough one to decide who you would want to captain in this double game week, because there is an equally high chance that the single game week player ends up outscoring some of the double game week players as well. That's a completely possible situation just given the fixtures. Saka and Arsenal play Fulham without a Palhinha, which is a problem. Rashford plays Southampton, who aren't great at all at Old Trafford. Haaland plays Crystal Palace, and Kane plays Forest. So the single game week players also have really good fixtures compared to the double game week players as well. So captaincy, I feel like in 27 is going to be a tough shout, unless Tony, if Tony hasn't got his yellow card, if Tony doesn't get a yellow card in 26, Tony becomes probably the best option. If Tony gets a yellow card in 26, then he becomes a very risky, brings back Mitrovic vibes that we had earlier this season, where he ended up missing the second game. So yeah, captaincy I feel like in 27 is going to be a tough one, because I think single game weekers have an equally good opportunity as double game weekers. And then you roll the transfer in 27, you go into 28, your triple Brighton blank, which I've put them below. Rashford blanks, I've put him here as well below. I've made one transfer in this, and that is basically I've removed Haaland. For it could be Joao Felix, it could be Iheanacho, right? It could be Watkins if you wanted to. Although I feel like if you're going with Watkins, you go in 26 and start from him on straight off. But this Haaland replacement can be anyone else. Now, it doesn't have to be that you remove Haaland. You can actually remove one of the Brighton players if you wanted to, and you can get like 10 men out. And I think completely 10 men in this week is completely fine in Game Week 28. I don't think I feel like anyone who wildcards in 26 are most likely playing 10 men in 28. And to be honest, if you look at the fixtures, I don't mind. I feel like it's gonna be a very low scoring game week. So going with 10 men is not an issue in this specific week. Then you go into game week 29, which is with the entire doubles. And basically what I've done is I've taken off McAllister for the moment, and I've gone with Bruno Fernandes. I've taken off Kane. I bought in Iheanacho. Now this can be someone else. If you bought in Iheanacho before, you would probably bring in another striker. If let's say you bought in Iheanacho in the previous week and Kane is still here, you can maybe remove Kane for maybe a Danny Ings if you wanted to. Now this is the week where you go without Haaland, because in the previous week Haaland wasn't playing, so it didn't really matter. So it's one game week you're going without Haaland. And then apart from that, the remaining team looks like plays how it is. This is where you play your bench boost. Now I've done 2 transfers here, which was the McAllister out for Fernandes, and I've kept Saka because I prefer Saka, to be honest. Instead of taking Saka out, you could actually keep McAllister and you could move Saka to Fernandes if you wanted to go even further. But I think I like Saka, and I'll show you why I'm keeping him because of the upcoming few weeks. But I like Saka as against Leeds especially. I think that's a good fixture. You could also take a hit if you wanted and get Shaw in for Gabriel. Now, at the moment, I've left it with Gabriel because I still think it's a tough one on that one. I'm not sure where, do I go for Shaw? Do I not go for Shaw? I haven't decided yet. There is also a decent amount of this will depend on when you get to free hit, where you play your free hit. This move will kind of impact that. And I'll show you why, because for the moment, let's stick to Gabriel, but you can go Shaw and you can just play your bench boost here. Goes to game week 30. And I've made 1 transfer here, which was I've bought back Haaland for, in this specific situation, I had Felix there. It depends on whoever you had in your third striker. I bought back Haaland. So I went without Haaland for 1 game week. And I bought back Haaland. Haaland comes back. Haaland will most likely be the captain in this game. And then the bench is like this. That's the 1 transfer. We go into game week 31. And this is where the difference between that will come later in 32. But then in 31, we're thinking, it's not confirmed yet, that Brighton most likely double with Newcastle, which is why I kept my Brighton. I kept at least 2 Brighton players. And we had the 2 Newcastle. We started off with the 2 Newcastle players because of this. Because we're thinking that Brighton might double with Newcastle. So that's one of the reasons. Now, the other thing is, in this specific situation, we don't really make a transfer. I think the team looks good, so we didn't make a transfer. We go into 32. This is where the blanks happen again. Assuming City qualify for the next round of the FA Cup and Rashford and United qualify for the next round of the FA Cup, then they all blank. Your Brighton players also blank because as a result of that. So this is where Gabriel versus Shaw came into play. If you don't go with Shaw, you can play with Gabriel here, and you field 10 men and I've also made a transfer here, which was I removed Fernandes out because he blanks, and I bought in Martinelli, but it could be someone else. I haven't decided who I wanted there, but I've just, for placeholder, I've put Martinelli here as 1 transfer, and you can make a second transfer, but to be honest, I haven't decided who I would want to make as that second transfer yet. I don't know who I want to remove. This is the same thing as game week 28, game week 28, where you can play with 10 men. Now, the slight difference with this is that you could potentially, depending on how the fixtures for the doubles in 34 and 37 fall, you could also potentially play your free hit in 32, and then that would slightly impact how you do 31, because in 31, if you play a free hit in 32, you can kind of move, let's say, I guess you can move Maddison, right? Maddison can probably go to, not Maddison. Who shall I move? I could probably move, I guess, Ben Mee if I wanted to. I can go to a Liverpool player if I wanted, because Liverpool, if let's say Liverpool get a double in 34, could be a decent option against Leeds, the home fixture. You could move Tony who knows if he's got 10 yellow cards by then, you can move him to a Darwin Nunes if you wanted to. There are a few things you can do. If few things you can do if you're playing the free hit in 32. But this is quite some time away, and things could change drastically. That it's very hard to tell what the situation will be like. But this is as far as we're going to go in terms of wildcard planned in. So this is one possible draft. Let me know what you guys think about it. Now that we covered that one possible draft, I'm going to go quickly to look at Easy Shark's team from the league. So if you haven't checked the league out, make sure to join the league. League code is down in the description, right down there at the bottom in the corner. Basically, X269WB is the league code. Easy Shark. Let's have a look and see whether your team needs a wildcard. Shall we? So this is your team. So you've got Saka and Odegaard. Not a bad issue. So what we're gonna do for your team is we're gonna kind of copy this. I am going to go to, how do I do this? Let me get another window up so that I don't mix the two windows. So I'm gonna bring your window up as well. So let's say we do, wonder if this will, nope, wrong one. I guess that kind of works for now. So this is your team looking like in 26. So if you were to start your team, you would have something like this, right? With 2 free transfers as well. You have. Now, this is actually a decent team. You can probably remove Nketiah for, let's say, if you wanted to go for Tony, you could, or you can wait. You could also let's say you went for Tony. I'm slowly realizing that funds might slightly be an issue. Oh, not necessarily. You can go for Tony, and you could downgrade KDB if you wanted to who was it? To a Brighton midfielder if you wanted to. So you could get in early slightly. So you could go maybe a Mitoma or a Solimarch. And you could do something like this if you wanted for your 2 free transfers. And then, I mean, you don't have to, but you could. That's a possibility. Just because we're not sure whether Nketiah will start. This is actually a pretty decent team.